In the I Ching, yin and yang are not symbols of two absolutely opposing forces. They are not simply black and white, good and bad, or two things that exist completely apart from each other. There is a wonderful example of this idea in Dream of the Red Chamber. At one point, Shang Yun and her maid Kui Lu are talking about yin and yang. They discuss how everything in the universe contains yin and yang. Kui Lu thinks of yin and yang as two separate things. But Chang'un explains that, in reality, they are two aspects of the same whole. Just look at the traditional Tai Chi Chu, the yin-yang symbol. There is a little yang within yin, and a little yin within yang, and the two are constantly changing, one waxing as the other wanes. It is a little like the two sides of a coin. Neither side, by itself, can represent the whole. From this perspective, I believe we should develop what we might call a yin-yang way of thinking, a framework that allows us to see both sides at once. And perhaps what we should strive for is a kind of inner integration of both the feminine and the masculine, higher and more complete way of being. A few years ago, there was an article with a very interesting title. The ultimate life is to be But this idea was not invented by modern people. It was proposed long ago by the British writer Virginia Woolf, who spoke about the idea of an androgynous mind. And if we go even further back, we can find the same idea in ancient Greek mythology. If you have ever visited the Louvre, you may know the statue of Hermaphroditus. In the Roman galleries, he is depicted reclining on a mattress. From behind, you see what appears to be an elegant, graceful, and sensual young woman. But when you walk around to the front, you still see the breasts of a woman and, at the same time, you see male genitalia. This figure is Hermaphroditus, an androgynous being. His mother was Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty and love. His father was Hermes, the messenger of the gods. His name, Hermaphroditus, is essentially a combination of the names Hermes and Aphrodite. So what kind of message does this figure convey to us? Because he is the child of the goddess of beauty and the messenger of the gods, I think he carries a message about beauty itself. And what is that message? Perhaps it is this: when are you truly beautiful? You are beautiful when you are able to see the whole picture. You cannot look at only one side and believe that you understand the whole. Some people, for example, are extremely intolerant of what they consider evil. Once they decide that someone is a bad person, they only see that one side of the person. They refuse to look at anything else. Of course, you may feel that you are simply refusing to tolerate evil, but your perspective is still incomplete. There is something missing from your field of vision. You have a blind spot. And normally, perhaps, that blind spot may not matter very much. But when you have to make an important decision or judgment, that missing perspective can eventually hurt you. Master Xing Yun once gave his disciples a very important teaching. You have to learn to see the whole picture. He described it beautifully. Half is heaven, half is earth. Half is black, half is white, half is light, half is darkness. You have to see all of it. Only then can you understand what is really going on. Only then can you understand why vinegar is sour and why salt is salty. This brings us to one of the hexagrams in the I Ching. The Guan hexagram, often translated as contemplation or observation. The character Guan itself is fascinating. In traditional Chinese Suga, the left side contains part of the character for a crane. The same crane we find in the famous poem Ascending the Stork Tower. And what is interesting about a bird's perspective? How is a bird's vision different from ours? Human beings have a relatively limited field of vision. If we want to see what is behind us, we have to turn our heads or even turn our entire bodies, but birds have eyes positioned on the sides of their heads, giving them a much wider field of view, sometimes approaching 270 degrees or even more, depending on the species. In a sense, the ancient Chinese were already reminding us of something important. When they created this character, don't make your vision too narrow. Broaden your perspective, look into the areas you normally cannot see. Only then can you make better judgments. Think about the enormous amount of information we encounter today on social media, websites, videos, and news platforms. Why do some people immediately jump to conclusions? Why do the so-called keyboard warriors instantly take sides and attack someone? And why do other people say, "Wait, don't take sides yet, let's see the whole story first"? Because what we see online is often only a fragment. Something may have been edited, a sentence may have been taken out of context. A short video may show only the parts someone wants you to see. What you want to see may not be the same as what you need to see. That is why learning, and especially reading, can give us another kind of vision. An inner eye. This inner eye allows us to see things that other people may not see, including things we might never notice if we never read or learn. Literature is a particularly powerful example. Great works of literature allow us to see more of human nature. They allow us to see different possibilities, different choices, different motivations, and different sides of the human experience. Maxim Gorky once made a wonderful observation about Leo Tolstoy. He said that Tolstoy had 100 eyes in his eyes. Of course, he didn't literally mean that Tolstoy had 100 eyes like a dragonfly's compound eyes. He meant that Tolstoy could see deeply. He could see broadly. He could see things from multiple dimensions and perspectives. He could see human nature in all its complexity. And when you develop that kind of vision, you are better equipped to navigate a world as complicated and confusing as the one we live in today. You become more discerning, more sensitive, and perhaps, most importantly, you learn how to become quiet. Su Shi, or Su Dongpo, expressed this beautifully in one of his poems. When the mind is still, all movement becomes empty. When the mind is empty, the 10,000 realms become clear. In other words, when you become quiet, you can finally see with your heart. When you are no longer constantly disturbed by the movement of the outside world. When your inner state remains still and undisturbed, you begin to see things as they truly are. And when that happens, what once seemed complicated and chaotic can suddenly become remarkably clear. The world does not necessarily become clearer because we acquire more information. If you'd like today's reflection journal, I've created a printable workbook. You'll find a link below.